What is art? I don't know. Look, I'm not a philosopher or like an art historian or whatever. I went to college to be an engineer and accidentally ended up in a degree that veterinarians get. With a bad GPA, mind you. I'm not a smart person. But what I do know is that I like creating. Been doing that my whole life. I know that's like everyone does that. And I hope you too have something that you enjoy creating right now. Some sort of fun project that expands your creative juices or whatever. For me, that's art, animating, making music, crafts, weird cooking experiments, writing, video editing, and podcasting, all while working 40 hours a week. Anyways, I think I've gotten a grasp of what art is. That essence, meaning of art. It's a little piece of the creator. I don't mean in that flowery metaphor-like stuff. I mean that in the most literal sense you can get. It's a story, it's memories, it's a part of the person who made it, given some sort of physical form outside of their head. The Mona Lisa ain't famous just 'cause it's a good painting. It's got history. Someone stole it, and when it got returned to the Louvre, everyone wanted to see it. The most famous piece of art of our time is highly regarded because of a story. If you show it to like a 7-year-old kid who doesn't know anything about the Mona Lisa, and you show them a pic of the Mona Lisa and they're like, this is the most famous and most well-known piece of art, they're gonna be like, that's dumb, she's missing an eyebrow. LMAO, epic fail. Do kids still say that? Oh god, I'm old. When was the last time I've seen a child? In any case, it's the stories and the history and the meaning we give to a piece of art that makes it art. I think. Again, if there's any big brain art people in the audience who are like, excuse me, go ahead and correct me on my very scientific YouTube video essay where I've drawn myself like this. And go for it. But last time I checked, I didn't have to cite opinions. Some people might think that art is useless, and well, they're wrong. What do you think I was gonna say? Art is everywhere and is incorporated into everything we've ever made. The progress we've made as a society through careful research and learning from our mistakes and taking theory from just thought into physical being, that's art. So keep that in mind as I ramble for, 10, 20 minutes? That everything that you do or create that is a culmination of what you've learned, an application of a skill, is an art. And I'm using broad definitions here. Using big brain here tonight. Tonight. There's this thing in philosophy called existentialism. Now, I'm not a philosopher. I just listened to a podcast and watched BoJack Horseman and The Good Place, but it brings up the idea of what we actually are. And it also talks about what we value. Now, if I were a philosophy kind of person, I would be able to go into greater detail and, quote things like a philosopher. But I can't do that! But one of the answers to existentialism, what it means to be human, to exist, is the absurd. This idea that we as people give meaning to life. And that it's absurd or against the world and how it works when we do that. Like, the world doesn't care that you made an art. You think this plant cares you made a macaroni sculpture? Or this rock cares that you made a bomb-ass pizza? It's us as people who put value into art and its creation. Art can't exist in a void. And while you can attribute meaning to it and give it purpose, and it's all well and good to have pride in your art, it's only when it's shared does it become real. Art is meant to be shared. What, do you think people post art on Twitter or whatever for organizational purposes? It's so their friends can see their Battle Network fight where they summon 6 fanfare horns, tooty things, and make really long car honk noises. That's art. And it's scary to share art. Even as I'm writing and recording this, I'm terrified. I'm opening up to strangers about something I care deeply about, and exposing that to people, and in the hopes that it resonates with someone else too. It's scary, but I'm still gonna do it because I believe it's important. I bring up these big questions because it's been something I've been asking myself as of late. A sort of midlife crisis in the best of ways. I know that sounds stupid, shut up. It was after binging hours of Hbomberguy videos and getting nightmares about Pathologic that I heard something that really resonated with me. It was in his video, Halcyon Dreams, The Legacy of Dragon's Lair. Here's the quote. In any creative medium, it's scary to work knowing that what you create may only exist in permanent obscurity. The people who make it might be talented, but increasingly, they're also very lucky. He goes on to talk about the main overarching topic of the video, which you should watch, it's very good. And later on he says, your work might not reach the audience it deserved, or you might not make something anyone likes, and it can be soul-crushing to embark on a journey knowing you might not succeed. But if we can learn to accept that it's okay to try and fail, that people who fail are worth being remembered and appreciated, then maybe we can all at least learn to enjoy the humanizing experience of failure together. And I'm just... So obviously it's frustrating that despite your best efforts, things you create aren't as successful as you'd hope for. And yes, I'm bitter about my own creations failing like this, but they failed for a reason. Too saturated with similar things, lost in a sea of posts, unable to make it out my small circle of friends, and perhaps most frustrating of all, lack of experience. So you look at what went wrong. Learning from your mistakes, and push harder to make something greater than you ever made before. Hoping that this is the one that makes it, the one that's good enough. It's in the midst of this pit of frustration that you have to look at why you create. Think back to that time when you first started making something for a lot of people. Think back to that time when you were on Neopets and tried to make comics with Neopian Times and had a mushroom-themed site for a pet page spotlight, and made a lot of art for the beauty contest and poured hours and hours into a pet application for a virtual prize of status symbol so you could be popular. Oh god, all things old are new again! The clock Ouroboros eats its own ass! Time is a flat circle Mobius strip of gum that God has chewed and stuck to the bottom of my table. And yet, I still created, and I enjoyed it. Putting something out into the world, even if I was the only one who ended up seeing it. I enjoyed it. I made something that didn't exist before. It was in the midst of all the small bits of joy that I realized the core of why I create, because I like it. And you can and should create for yourself. It's very nice. But I don't create shitposts because it makes me laugh. I do it to make others laugh. And angry. Because if I were a part of a medieval workforce, I would be a small-time court jester who just barely avoids the chopping block because of my anime eyes. Making art is just good for the soul. It's beautiful that I can take a part of myself and give it a physical form for others to enjoy. I'm certainly not doing this for the money. If I wanted to make money, I wouldn't be making a shitpost video essay on a platform that doesn't care if I live or die. I'd be doing that through vet school. Cause then I at least get paid 80 grand a year after a 200 grand in debt minimum if you're lucky. Seriously, if you're making art to get rich or famous, or prove something or be racist, you're gonna be disappointed. And you should seriously do some introspection and reevaluate your priorities. Like, seriously, start caring about other people. Turns out love is pretty dope. So, now you want to create some art. See that it's pretty cool to share the stuff that you made but what to create? Suddenly, inspiration sparks from nowhere like lightning, and your muse gives you the perfect idea, and God slaps you in the face with a completely original concept brought to life from deep within the ether, never before seen by mortal eyes. And you, as the divine avatar of creativity, shall bring it forth. Yeah, that's not how it works. There's no original ideas. We all know this, kinda deep down. All ideas are based on other ideas, built and mixed up with other ideas, dipped in the flavor of their creator. All art is built on the foundation of the previous generations, mixing and matching little nuggets of other ideas, building off of them, and combining and creating something new from the broken bits of ideas that at one time were scavenged from even older creations. Creations spurring creation! Building a legacy. Standing on the shoulders of giants as you utilize an online tutorial for making a VTuber face rig so you can play as your shitpost with Persona as you stream another creative team's fucking masterpiece while you watch another creative team's fucking masterpiece. You don't make a house by reinventing concrete or woodworking or goddamn architecture. You learn from the knowledge of the past and you apply it to new situations. Create and share your art. Not just for yourself, or to entertain, for the inspiration of others. Oh, and also plagiarism is bad. Don't do that. Don't steal ideas. Not cool. You adapt ideas. You take pinches, not handfuls. So you create just for yourself and for others and for the future. That's awesome. That's cool. If it gets seen! Despite making the claim earlier that art can be just for you, the satisfaction and passion you extract from finishing and admiring your own work can only go so far before it becomes narcissism. The feedback and sharing is what adds fuel to an artist's furnace. An artist can't improve without constructive criticism on what didn't work, and which, as an artist, I should tell you should only be given when the artist asks. But feedback on what did work, what you liked, what stood out, what was inspirational, can help improve an artist's art. Plus artists, like to have their works validated. It's a bit of vanity, but it really does motivate artists to create. If you want more art in the world, support the art that you like. Share it. Donate to the creators. Talk about it. If you want to see better content, better science, better art, you have to support it. Just hearing about it and watching it pass you by, it's how you get pitted rows that everyone agrees needs to be fixed, because no one wants to pay to fix it.
Psst, artists need money too. Also, they tend to live in things called houses and pay rent.
And now is art as important to day-to-day life as a foundational backbone that is our national highway system and transportational infrastructure? I'd say yes. I wouldn't go so far as to call art as one of the basic Maslow hierarchy of needs. Or would I? No. If I were dying and needed water, I'd drink it regardless if it was a gold-encrusted super goblet or a plastic tropical cup where all the colored water is drained out of the sides to make all the floaty stuff float around so all of things just kind of stuck. But art's still important. It has been. And always will be. So, create. For you, for the world, for the future. And in a time where destruction seems to be everywhere, I can't think of anything more hopeful and beautiful than to create. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, subscribe and comment and give me some feedback. Support me on Patreon at patreon.com/chibicheesepuff, and also follow me on Twitter and Tumblr to get updates on my stuff. Thank you! Also, if you support Trump or any of his bootlickers, you are directly to blame for the horrid state of the world and the disastrous future that we're all gonna have to live with in the coming years, and I will never forgive you. Okay, bye!